Welcome to the Raw Spotlight podcast, where we feature inspiring leaders in the B2B space and share their unique stories. Let's get started with the show.
Hi, I'm Felicity Porter, your host of this show, where we feature leaders from B2B businesses, niche markets, large-scale brands, local businesses, and public sector entities to share their innovative strategies and inspiring success stories. So this episode is brought to you by Ready Artwork, where we deliver uniquely tailored B2B digital marketing services to help facilitate the long-term growth of your business. So at Ready Artwork, we combine data-driven insights with innovative design to help your business thrive in the digital age. So from SEO to digital marketing to web development to also email marketing, we have experts who help different companies uncover growth in unexplored and extraordinary ways. So to learn more, just visit readyartwork.com or get a free proposal. Let Ready Artwork discover your full potential. So today I have Chad here from Rise 25. He's done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs, and we have flipped the script. So he will be interviewing me today. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Felicity. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, it's great to talk to you today. I'm looking forward to finding out more about you. Tell me what is your current role right now with Ready Artwork?
Yeah, so it's kind of taken at three different turns. Right now it's marketing analyst, but I started as an intern last year. So I went from intern to a part-time marketing assistant and then now a full-time marketing analyst today.
When did you start your internship?
I started exactly July 31st, 2023, right before my last year of college, actually.
So you started your internship just about a year and now you're full-time. What do you think you did that caused them to now make you full-time when you just started an internship, a year ago?
Yeah, there were a lot of changes. So towards the end of my internship, there were a lot of changes going on within the company. And I think one of the main keys was being adaptable. So uh, there were a lot of challenges at that time. So I think it was really important to sort of yield that perseverance and really challenge yourself. So I think that was one of the main aspects why I'm still here.
Nice, very nice. Well, we'll get into some more of that in just a little bit. Tell me, what led you to decide to go into marketing in the first place?
hmm So it's kind of started from a while ago. So I've always had this sort of problem solving approach. Like I'm really interested in it. I was that word problem kid in middle school, high school, etc. So in high school, my first real touch into marketing was when I joined this club in high school called FBLA, or Future Business Leaders of America.
Mhm.
And from there I saw, because I tested and competed into different areas, I tried marketing and I thought it was really interesting. And I thought there was a lot to explore. So I looked into that. And then I also, when I started my first work experience in retail, I could see how marketing directly impacted the consumers, how they are receptive to a brand, and the relationship between people and a business. I think it's really inspiring. So that sort of generated my interest. And then that's why I pursued marketing in college at Cal Poly Pomona. And then here I am today.
Yeah, awesome. So what was your first kind of marketing experience, even if it was just, trying it out in high school?
hmm I would say it was probably like either that competition or um gosh, it's could be even early because even as a kid I would see like advertisements. I'd be like,
Hmm.
wow, I could really see why someone would be impacted by this.
Yeah.
But it
So
was
like
pretty
in that
early.
competition, what did you do?
hmm So there were different ones. We had individual competitions where we would test on like the four P's, like the promotion, price, etc. Or we would have group competitions as well. And you would just compete in terms of knowledge and then case studies as well. And then in that club itself, we would do different meetings to practice what we learned. It was really cool.
So as you mentioned, you started as an intern with Ready Artwork about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago. What was your first kind of paid marketing experience then? Was that
hmm
it?
hmm So it differed a lot because I started before Ready Artwork. I worked as a part-time marketing assistant. And for that position, it was very well-rounded in terms of it was more on the creative side. So I worked with Photoshop and more so that and file editing
Hmm.
and a little bit of social media management. But then when I started with Ready Artwork last year, um, my skills were more centered around SEO, which was different for me. It was a big learning curve. And then also advertising channels, especially in LinkedIn, Meta, Google ads, etc. So definitely more so that, and then content writing as well. And then, yeah, I think that's more so where the focus went, but it was a lot different. Like there are a lot more areas that I'm covering.
Right now. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
even as an intern. Mhm.
So was your internship eye-opening, or was there a lot of things that you learned during that time? And if so, what was the most valuable lesson?
Mhm. I learned a lot. Like it was so much so that like even in when because I was finishing my last year of college when I started. So in my marketing classes, I would learn things from the internship that like I haven't even learned yet in classes, and I'd be able to apply that. But I would say the most important lesson from the internship is adaptability, especially in digital marketing, just because there's so many tools that I'm finding are developing and there's constant new ways to how to apply it. So I'd say that's definitely the most valuable. Yeah.
Sure. So you said you learned things that you didn't even learn at Cal Poly. What about the things that you did learn at Cal Poly, and how did that prepare you for what you're doing now?
hmm I would say some like overarching elements, like I would say one key takeaway was um maybe consumer research, because it's really important to get into the head of why you're actually doing this, especially in marketing. The psychology aspect is really important. So I'd say that was definitely applicable because it made me question, like, is this valuable? Is this going to be effective? And so I think that key takeaway. And then they also stressed at Cal Poly hands-on learning. So I think that helped too, because we would practice with the different tools that we use today to help basically boost our marketing strategies. So I think that as well. But I say those are the main two.
Okay, great. So you were part of the global tech experience. What was that?
Yeah. So the global tech experience was actually part of Cal Poly Pomona, and it was super valuable. I attest to it today. They did change the name more recently, but it was basically a hands-on opportunity for students to there were different areas, right? So there was like
Mhm.
data analysis. I did the e-commerce route. So what I did was for a whole semester, what we did was you worked in a team and you would cover different areas on we focused on Shopify e-commerce. So we learned how to build the site, we learned how to make, products, how to do the content, etc., and what to look for and the different applications. And then we also touched into meta ads as well. So we covered a lot, and a lot of it was also teamwork based. So we would present our findings, and what we also did was take the data and we would come up with solutions as a team and then present it as our like team leaders as
Mhm.
we're recommending this because of this data. That's what it shows us. So that's really what we applied. And we also learned a little bit of UI UX design and then also a bit of color theory. It was like a lot of creative, but also a bit of marketing in terms of
Yeah,
e-commerce.
so you did all kinds of things.
Yeah.
What was your primary takeaway? Was it like a change in your perspective of how to do everything, or was there something that you're like, oh yeah, I learned this there?
Mhm. I would say that the main takeaway I learned a lot about the technical applications,
Hmm.
but I would say that the teamwork aspect really made me believe like I could learn about a tool to the point where I can actually apply it for myself because sometimes in marketing, it can be hard to not feel intimidated from certain tools. It could feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm really going to get the full extent out of it, or it'll be hard to apply it because it's so complicated or there's so many uses. Like with Shopify, for example, there are a lot of new tools coming out all the time. So I'd say the biggest takeaway was basically just thinking like even if you're new to a tool or new to a new aspect of marketing or whatever it may be, you could still apply it to yourself and make it effective, especially as your team. Like leverage your team for
Yeah,
sure.
nice. So you started as an intern, then you got promoted to kind of like a part-time marketing assistant. What was that role like?
Hmm. So when I became a part-time marketing assistant, I would say it shifted into more advertising for sure. So
Mhm.
I learned a lot more of that. And then as time went on, I got pushed into learning how to use the tools a bit different. So I would learn more about the overarching goal of projects and why we're doing it, more long-term uh, initiatives, I would say. And then I would say also a bit more exploration into like right now automations are a really big thing.
Mhm.
So I would say a bit more of that and more problem solving for sure. So there's a lot more exposure to new clients, new case studies, etc.
Great. So your whatever you did in that experience as a part-time marketing assistant helped you get this current role that you now have as a full-time marketing analyst. Tell me about your kind of your primary responsibilities in that role.
Okay, so currently, if I'm speaking holistically, it's a lot of problem solving and leveraging data to provide suggestions for improvement depending on which project it is. So I'd say mostly, if I'm speaking holistically, the problem solving aspect, but to do that in my role, I think there's a lot of different tools that we use to help supplement that. So lots of planning, strategy sessions, and the tools that we use like email marketing, advertising, SEO, etc. So I think just using those channels and then based on the performance, just providing ongoing recommendations for improvements.
What do you think are the most important skills for somebody in your role to have?
Hmm. I would say, I know I mentioned previously in this episode, the element of adaptability. I do still think that strongly applies if we're talking more so like soft skill vibes. Um, but I think that's a really good application to maintain. And then also being able to problem solve
Hmm.
because there can be 100 tools available to you as a marketer, especially digital marketer. And so I think it's important to have that problem solving skill so that you can leverage those tools effectively to solve those problems that you encounter in projects for clients.
So
Yeah.
what's kind of a challenging project that you've worked on so far, and how did you overcome it?
Hmm. There was a project a few months ago where I didn't really dabble into automations as much. And this project entailed a lot of that. So it was challenging for me because I was stepping into a new area of marketing that I wasn't really familiar with, but I knew it was a really powerful tool. So I'd say the part that I overcame was learning something new and then applying it. And then it was very successful. So I'd say that was a really good experience at the end of the day. When I
Sure.
first started, maybe not so much, but afterwards, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So what advice, given that, given the fact that you've worked your way up the ladder so far for a year now, what advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out their career in marketing, or maybe
Hmm.
just graduating from school even?
Yeah. Um, Maybe I can go into two different areas because if we're talking about early graduates or about to graduate,
Hmm.
I think that something to consider is that you should start early. Um, I found it very valuable just to have my first internship, my second year of college, just because I could dabble into different things and I can see which areas I wanted to pursue, which ones were not as interesting. And then if there are any classes that help you explore that as well, I would definitely consider that too and recommend that. And then I would say having a really open mind as well, because I found, because I've worked different jobs, of course, you may not find the right marketing place for you right away. So it might take some time, but once you get lucky, you get lucky. I think the culture
Sure.
is a big part of it. But if you're someone that's already, that might be changing fields into marketing, although I don't share that personal experience, I do think it'd be valuable again to explore the different areas because marketing is very wide and it covers a lot of different areas. So if you want to pursue email marketing or maybe SEO, I think that's really important to help you sort of streamline where you want to focus on, just because it's so big and it can seem very overwhelming if you're just starting. So I do think that's very important. I
I
recommend
know,
that.
yeah, I know you have personal interests like illustration, digital illustration, and reading. Do those kind of influence your work?
Yeah, I would say because I started digital illustration back in a late middle school, early high school. So I started to get familiar with tools like Photoshop, and that already kind of familiarized me with the tools available and on the design side. So how that translates into my workflow today is that when I'm asking for designs input, I'm familiar with some of the tools that they use. So I could say, oh, well, can we do this? Can we do that? Can we change the format of this, to help our marketing initiative? And then for reading, that's definitely helpful for the projects. And there's also a lot of books out there that I think are valuable in guiding that side. In my business strategy class, we covered a lot of, I forgot the name, but it's called Winning, the book Winning.
Hmm.
Um, so I think books like that are really helpful to help guide and, provide fresh thoughts for sure.
What role, if any, does persistence play in your approach to marketing?
hmm Huge. Long story short, um, I'd say that it can be, yeah, especially at an agency. Some projects will go great, some projects won't, and some
Hmm.
projects are just challenging, but they do end up being great. So as a marketer, I think it's very important to not feel defeated if something doesn't go right or it might be hard to learn something. I think that being persistent makes you stronger and it makes you a better candidate if you are looking for a job in marketing, actually. Just because there's always new things coming out. So if you're not persistent, you're going to fall behind. And that's how you quickly lose that competitive advantage as well. So I think it's a huge role. I think it's very important to have that skill and mindset.
Yeah, great. So this is your first time appearing on this podcast, and I know you're going to be a host of some future episodes of this podcast. What are you most looking forward to when it comes to this podcast?
I'm looking forward to sharing experiences for the most part. I like relating to people, especially if they've had similar issues, thought processes, or experiences. Just because we can help each other out or maybe just get some fresh perspectives on certain marketing areas. But I think there's a lot of experiences that people share that are really valuable to talk about and explore so you can grow from both ends.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, we'll look forward to hearing some of them. Hey,
Yeah.
Felicity, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Sure. So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Raw Spotlight podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.